Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to treat your upcoming exam exactly like a championship match. Look, today we're stepping onto the field as the football strategist of the exam world. We are going to outplay the exam defense and master the tactical nuances of Cambridge information technology, specifically Section 5.1 on unauthorized data gathering. But you know what? Whether you're sitting for 0417, 0478, 2210, 9618, or 9626, the underlying strategy we're breaking down today is an absolute game changer across the board. Think of this explainer as your ultimate strategist's blueprint. We aren't just going to look at raw, boring facts today. No, we're talking about formation, tactics, and flawless execution. Let me paint a picture for you. Imagine two students taking this exact exam. We've got Alex, who absolutely overloads their answers with raw computer science facts but zero analysis. Then we have Sam, who's always rushing, totally missing the command word requirements and dropping easy points left and right. I've literally seen their flawed answers with red pen marks all over them. If you want to bypass those tricky question barriers that examiners set up like a defensive line to test your true understanding, you need a system so you don't end up like Alex or Sam. You need to know exactly what the examiner thinks, what they're actually looking for, and how to structure your response to secure every single available point on that paper. So grab your notebook, get ready to focus, because we are breaking down the exact playbook you need.
Okay, let's dive into our playbook. Today's agenda covers the examiner's warning, core conceptual principles, the technical methodology, critical analysis, and finally, the method mark strategy. Let's get right into it.
Now, before we get into the heavy tactics, we really have to face a harsh reality. Why do students find interpreting complex text and data so incredibly hard? This is literally the exact question senior examiners are asking about Section 5.1 in their reports. Time and time again, candidates walk into the exam room feeling super confident because they memorize the textbook definitions. But when they're faced with a complex scenario, like a convoluted data set or a multi-layered text describing a cyber incident, they just freeze. Let's go back to Alex and Sam. When Alex sees a scenario, they just word vomit every single fact they know about the topic, completely ignoring the context. And Sam? Sam reads the first sentence, panics about the time, and writes a one-sentence answer that completely ignores the command word. They struggle to extract the core trends and apply their knowledge. Today we are going to completely rewire how you approach these texts so that you never ever feel overwhelmed by an exam scenario again. We're going to transform those red pen marks into green check marks.
Section 1. The Examiner's Warning. Top Student Pitfalls. If you want to win the game, you really have to know how previous teams lost. The Cambridge examiners publish these reports every single year detailing exactly where candidates missed out on marks, and you know what? The findings are incredibly consistent. These three specific traps appear in almost every examination series, costing students easy marks. Before we break down the traps, I need to remind you to subscribe to our YouTube channel Ace the Exams at @aceexams_IGCS to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon right now so you don't miss any of our tactical breakdowns. Okay, let's look at the mistakes. First, examiners report a massive confusion between cause and effect regarding unauthorized data gathering. Students, like our friend Sam, will write beautiful paragraphs explaining the completely wrong part of the event. Second, under the immense pressure of the ticking clock, students completely forget to check format and presentation requirements in the command words of the question. They write an essay when they were asked for a bulleted list. And third, and this is without a doubt the biggest one, giving answers that are not specific to the context given. You cannot just regurgitate a generic textbook answer if the scenario asks about a hospital's IT network. Your answer absolutely must be tailored to that specific environment. This is where we introduce the PEAL framework: point, evidence, explanation, link. Top students use PEAL to ensure their answers are perfectly structured and context-specific every single time.
Let's look a little closer at that first major pitfall. Examiners specifically report that students lose points by confusing the cause of an unauthorized data gathering attack with its effect. You've got to always distinguish between the two. The cause is the mechanism, the tactic, the actual execution of the attack itself. How did the hacker get in? What specific tool did they use? The effect, on the other hand, is the consequence. What actually happened to the data? Was it stolen, modified, ransomed? Let me give you an example. If a question asks you to analyze the effect of a breach on a company, and Alex spends 10 minutes writing a massive paragraph about the cause, like exactly how the phishing email was coded, Alex scores 0. 0 marks. Why? Because they played the wrong side of the field. They didn't link their answer back to the actual question. Always define exactly what the question is targeting before you write a single word.
Moving on to Section 2, Core Conceptual Principles, the Threats.
To avoid the mistakes we just discussed, we must build a deeply connected conceptual understanding of the four main threats in Syllabus Section 5.1.
Guys, these are your opponents on the field. You need to know their exact profiles, their habits, and their methodologies. First up is smishing, where attackers use deceptive text messages to extract your relevant data. A good way to remember this? Think of the S and M in smishing as standing for SMS. It's a highly targeted attack vector because, let's face it, people generally trust text messages on their personal devices way more than they trust random emails. The attacker will usually manufacture this intense sense of urgency. You know the ones, a fake bank alert saying your account is locked, or a missed package delivery notification. They're forcing the victim to act fast, to click a malicious link or reply with sensitive information before they even have time to think critically. When you see a scenario involving mobile devices and immediate, urgent text prompts, your mind should immediately jump to smishing. And if you're writing a appeal paragraph about it, your point is identifying the smishing, your evidence is quoting the urgent text from the scenario, your explanation details the SMS mechanism, and your link ties it back to the data compromise.
Next up is vishing, which relies entirely on verbal communication and voice manipulation to gather sensitive information. The V here stands for voice. This is basically the social engineering equivalent of a really fast-talking, high-pressure salesman. The attacker gets the victim on the phone and uses intense psychological manipulation to completely bypass logical defenses. They might pretend to be IT support, a bank's fraud department, or even a senior executive within the victim's own company demanding immediate action. In an exam scenario, be a detective. Look for key phrases in the text like phone call received, verbal instructions given, or caller ID spoofing. This is where the human element becomes the absolute weakest link in the entire security chain.
Then, of course, we have the classic phishing. This relies heavily on deceptive emails to trick targets into revealing personal data. Honestly, this is the most common formation you will see on the field. Attackers are basically casting a massive, wide net, sending out thousands of emails that look practically indistinguishable from legitimate corporate communications. I mean, they copy logos, format styles, and even the tone of voice of reputable companies down to the letter. The entire goal here is always to deceive the individual into clicking a fraudulent link or downloading a malicious attachment. When you're evaluating a phishing scenario, you really want to focus on the deceptive nature of the visual presentation. It's all about reliance on user error to initiate the unauthorized data gathering. Finally, we have pharming. This is a much more insidious technical methodology where users are redirected to fraudulent websites. Look, while phishing requires the user to actually fall for a trick and click a bad link, pharming attacks the underlying infrastructure itself. The attacker poisons the DNS cache or alters host files. So what does that mean? It means that even when the user types the correct, completely legitimate web address into their browser, they are secretly redirected behind the scenes to a fake lookalike site. They enter their login credentials thinking they're totally safe, and boom, the data's harvested. It's incredibly stealthy, it's highly technical, and it often occurs completely without the user's knowledge.
So, the crucial takeaway here is that Cambridge examiners don't just want you to memorize these 4 terms. That's what Alex does, and we know that doesn't work. They want to see logical, structured reasoning applied to totally unfamiliar contexts. The assessment framework prioritizes analytical depth over superficial breadth. Knowing the definition of pharming might, maybe, get you 1 mark. But being able to analyze exactly how a pharming attack impacts a specific e-commerce business model, that is what gets you the maximum marks. Top-performing students exhibit a connected, conceptual understanding. They see how these concepts interact. Now, stop scrolling for just a second. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE, to excel in your Cambridge examinations. Seriously, we've helped thousands of students improve by 2 to 3 entire grade boundaries. Join them right now by subscribing to acetheexams_IGCSE and turn on all notifications so you never miss our weekly exam strategy sessions. Okay, back to the strategy.
Let's hit Section 3, the technical methodology, the 5-step framework.
Now that we know the specific threats, and we understand the depth is absolutely required, let's explore the tactical methodology you must use to tackle examination questions on this topic. This is where we move from theory into actual execution. This is our interactive workshop segment. You cannot just read a question and start writing blindly like Sam does. You need a system, a reliable, repeatable process that works under the immense pressure of the ticking exam clock. Here is the exact procedural framework top-scoring candidates use to process information systematically. Step 1. Deconstruct the question. Look for the command words. Step 2. Extract relevant data. Highlight the specific context. Step 3. Select your analytical framework. Step 4. Execute with clear notation. Step 5. Present your final response with the correct academic terminology. Right now, let's do a quick data scan challenge. Imagine a complex data table showing a spike in unauthorized logins over a weekend. You have 60 seconds. What's the core trend? It's not just that logins went up, it's that they happened outside business hours, indicating an automated credential stuffing or targeted phishing aftermath. That's extracting relevant data.
If you follow this standardized sequence, you will successfully interpret complex relationships and draw evidence-based conclusions every single time. Think of it as an assembly line for top marks. You identify the key elements of the threat. You apply the relevant syllabus principles. You execute your analysis. You verify that your results actually make sense within the given scenario. And finally, you present it perfectly. Let's do another quick challenge. Find the flaw. I'm going to read you a sample paragraph from Alex. The hospital was attacked by phishing because hackers sent emails so the computers got viruses and broke. Did you spot the flaw? It's completely lacking the Peel framework. There's no specific evidence from the text, the explanation of the mechanism is generic, and the link to the actual effect on the hospital's patient data is completely missing. That sentence just lost 3 marks. You have to verify your answer against the actual context of the scenario.
Section 4. Evaluation and Critical Analysis. Thinking like an examiner.
We are now elevating our strategy by focusing on the critical analysis required for those maximum top-tier points. It's not enough to just process the data. You have to evaluate it. You literally have to step into the shoes of the senior examiner and look at the scenario from a high-level, critical perspective. This deconstruct, solve, evaluate loop is the ultimate problem-solving framework. I want you to try a 30-second speed writing challenge in your head right now. Think of one perfect Peel paragraph for how to defend against phishing. Ready? Go. Your point should be employee training. Your evidence is the human vulnerability. Your explanation is how role-playing scenarios build resistance. And your link is how this directly reduces successful unauthorized access. Look at step 4 on the framework. Check for reasonableness. Does your analysis of the data breach actually make sense in the real world? And step 5, make justified recommendations. If the scenario asks how a company can defend against phishing, you cannot just write buy antivirus software. You must systematically recommend specific training, email filtering protocols, and multi-factor authentication. And most importantly, justify why those are the exact correct choices based on the evidence in the text.
To truly outplay the defense, you must demonstrate these 3 evaluative skills in your final exam responses. Top candidates do not just accept the scenario at face value, they actively question assumptions. They consider entirely different perspectives. For example, how does a phishing attack look from the perspective of the targeted, stressed-out employee versus the IT security manager reviewing the logs? It's completely different. And above all, they justify every single decision with hard, undeniable evidence extracted straight from the text. If you can integrate this level of evaluative thinking into your paragraphs, the examiner literally has no choice but to award you the highest marks available in their grading rubric.
Section 5. The method mark strategy. Your safety net. This brings us to the final system, the ultimate safety net. Sometimes, despite your absolute best efforts, you might misinterpret a tiny, obscure detail in a really complex scenario, or maybe you make a slight logical error right near the end of your analysis. Does that mean you get a 0 for the whole question? Absolutely not, provided you have deployed the method mark strategy. Remember this crucial lifeline direct from the examiner report. Even if your final answer is wrong, method marks can save you. Students who implement these computer science strategies see an average improvement of 2 grade boundaries. But you know what? That only happens if they practice consistently with our weekly videos. Cambridge examiners are desperately looking to reward your process. If you clearly document how you identified the threat, how you applied the framework, and the logical steps you took, you will accumulate method marks all along the way. Never ever just write down a final conclusion without showing the structural reasoning that got you there. Your working out is the actual proof of your conceptual understanding. Before we wrap up today's explainer, I want to give you a quick memory hack. Create a mnemonic from the first letters of the unauthorized data gathering terms to keep your analysis perfectly structured on exam day. SVPP. Smishing, Vishing, Phishing, Pharming. SVPP. The second you sit down at that desk, write SVPP right at the top of your rough paper. When a question on unauthorized data gathering appears, mentally run the given scenario through this exact checklist. Is it text-based? Is it voice? Is it email? Is it a DNS redirection? Having this simple cognitive anchor prevents the kind of panic that derails SAM, and it ensures you select the correct analytical framework right from the starting whistle. It's a lifesaver.
So the final question is entirely yours to answer. Will you leave points on the table, or will you use this strategist blueprint to secure every possible method mark? The entire playbook is in your hands now. Here is your final reminder. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Ace the Exams, at acetheexams_IGCSE to excel in your Cambridge examinations.
Subscribe right now to @acexams_IGCSE and click that bell. Don't let another exam pass you by without having the best strategy in your corner. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your exact target grade for computer science and the biggest challenge you're currently facing in your revision. Our team reads and responds to every single comment. Like and share this video with a study partner who needs to level up their game. Remember, your Cambridge success starts right here. Outplay the defense and go ace those exams.